Hey everybody, it's the Rain Man. Just wanted to give you a quick raindrop today to introduce you to a really cool organization that I went by and was able to interview the owner a couple of days ago. The organization is called Shelter to Soldier, and what they do is they take dogs out of homeless shelters, train them up, and then team them up with veterans who are dealing with PTSD and other combat-related stressors in their lives. Just an awesome organization. And if most of you know by now, I did 2 combat tours in Iraq, so I'm a big fan of anything that is out there that's helping veterans. We're also huge dog people. We got 2 Rhodesian Ridgebacks, Butch and Sundance, and those dogs are our life. And so when I found this organization that did both those things, I had to get to know them better. So before I kind of go into it a little bit, and this raindrop is going to test my my editing skills a little bit, because I did 2 shots with the owner Graham, and then I'm going to feed in my discussion here, and we'll put it all together for about a 10 to 15 minute raindrop about this group. Anyway, what was very interesting is, and I'll just kind of put this up here to show you, this is essentially my goal setting workbook that I've used for the last several years, and this actually was from 2 years ago, and it's actually one of my long-standing goals even this year. One of the things that I wanted to do, and I highlighted here, eventually wanted to start a foundation that helps veterans and protects animals, and then in parentheses I put vets and dogs together somehow. And this was 2 years ago, and for whatever reason, several months ago I was online just kind of searching around to see if there's anything like that out there now, and lo and behold, I come up with Shelter to Soldier, and they're doing exactly that. And so I said to myself, I gotta meet this guy. So I coordinated to meet up with Graham out at the dog training facility here in Oceanside, California, and it was just a really cool experience. And this is only a short raindrop this time. However, I've discussed it with Graham, and what we're going to do next is we're going to do a full-length podcast interview. I'm going to sit down with Graham, and then we're also going to sit down with a pair, one of the veterans that he's paired up with one of their dogs, and really spend some time getting into this group, because they really are. They're unbelievable. And if you are somebody that supports veterans and veterans communities and veterans organizations, and if you're somebody that loves animals and just hates to see dogs or any animal for that matter in the adoption centers and the shelters, then this is definitely something that I would highly recommend checking out. It's www.sheltertosoldier.org. They exist off of donations, and so I'm really looking forward to that podcast eventually when we get that scheduled to do that. But I just what I wanted to do before I get you out to the interview out at the kennel and the training facility at Oceanside, I just wanted to give you a couple of statistics. First, I'll read a quote from Graham Bloem, the founder. He said, "It is our mission to be one source of positivity for our U.S. veterans and to provide shelter dogs a second chance at being loved and giving love. We are truly saving lives, 2 at a time, at Shelter to Soldier, and we are blessed to do so." Graham, as you'll see in the interview here, has been training dogs for 20 years, and he's got a great story that we'll get into a little bit on this raindrop, but definitely in more detail in the full-length podcast interview. But several years ago, he was able to train a couple of dogs that several of the combat vets were able to bring back with them back from Iraq. And he trained up these dogs. One of them was Lava, and the other one I believe was Dubs. And they actually, both of those veterans wrote books about their experiences with the dogs, and with Graham helping to train those dogs and to get them incorporated into America, because over in Iraq, I remember when I was over there in '04 and '05, you would see just packs of stray dogs running around all over the place. So it kind of broke your heart to see that, but it's so great to hear that these guys just tried to save one, and they did, and they brought him back, and they 2 books were written about them, and I'll go into more detail in our podcast interview, but Graham was instrumental in training those dogs up. So a couple of things I just wanted to hit on before I send it out to Oceanside. One of the things that Graham talks about is saving 2 lives at a time, right? Some crazy statistics that every day 16 U.S. veterans on average commit suicide. And then every year over 650,000 dogs are euthanized in the national kennel system and shelter system because they can't find the right homes for them. So Graham is just a niche foundation. He's got the expertise to train these dogs up to become actual health and comfort animals for these veterans that are struggling with PTSD and other combat-related injuries. So I highly recommend you check them out, and please enjoy the 10 minutes or so of the interview that I did with Graham the other day out at the training facility in Oceanside. So this is the Rain Man. Thanks for watching, and definitely keep an eye out for the full-length podcast interview that I'm going to do with Graham and 2 of his clients that he's helped train up. So this is the Rain Man. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, it's the Rain Man. I'm here with Graham Bloem. Graham is the founder and president of Shelter to Soldier, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that adopts dogs from local shelters and trains them to become psychiatric service dogs for post 9/11 combat veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So Graham has been a dog trainer for 20 years. He's been featured in many print and TV interviews, including several books written by veterans. He is currently the founder and owner of Specialty Dog Training, and he and his wife, Kyrie, are founders of the National Academy of Professional Dog Trainers. Graham, thank you for joining me. How are you today, sir?
I'm well, thanks.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out at our facility. This is where the magic happens.
Nice. And by the way, we're in Oceanside, California, in a beautiful dog training facility. So thanks very much for having me. I wanted to take just a few minutes of your time today, Graham, just to kind of give us a big Blue Arrow type of view of what Shelter to Soldier is. But why don't we start by just answering this? How long have you been training dogs, and how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I've been training dogs almost 20 years. I was born in South Africa and was around wildlife my whole life, and I sort of felt I would find my way into working with animals somehow professionally one day. Moved to Canada and then eventually immigrated to the United States. And when I got here, which is now home, I went through some bumps in high school. I was, I guess you classify it as a misfit. And animals kept me grounded. I would go home and check on my German Shepherd. Otherwise, I wouldn't go home. I had nothing to go home for because I wanted to go do other fun teenage stuff, but I would want to check on her and feed her and walk her. And then I recognized when I was having tough days, she was the one I'd go to. And from there, it was just a matter of wanting to catapult myself into something I really loved and I was passionate about. I didn't want to have a job that I dreaded going to every day.
Yeah.
And I love being outside. So I went to Animal Behavior College, studied dog training and animal behavior, worked for a number of different local rescues, charitable organizations in the dog rescue realm. I've had a couple of companies myself and worked for other training companies. And one thing that was true all the way through was that we met a lot of people that needed help with working service animals and they couldn't afford it. And one of the most common of those people that would come to the office to sit down were veterans. These were men and women that had been through a lot and lived through a lot, and they had a letter of rec saying, I've been told I need a service dog, it's time for me to get one, I'm ready. And they had this look of excitement, and then you'd share with them the costs and the estimates. And then it's just another door closed.
Yeah.
You got people walking out of the office head down feeling defeated.
Yeah.
So my wife and I started talking, and our good friend who's a co-founder as well, and we were like, what can we do? What can we do to help? This is not fair.
Yeah.
We have the skill set, we have the know-how, With my years in the business locally, I've trained a lot of dogs for local radio show hosts and news anchors. We have the resources. What can we do to make this work? We decided to launch a program to serve both parties, help rescue dogs, which is our original passion. And as we learned more about what our servicemen and women actually go through and live through in a war zone, we wanted to support them, and not just support them, but to provide them a highly trained working animal at no charge. A couple other catalysts you shared with me. You read the stories. Major Brian Dennis, who's now Lieutenant Colonel Brian Dennis, and his dog Nubs, and Lieutenant Colonel Jay Kopelman and his dog Lava. Had I not met those guys and heard their stories and really understood what being a Marine or working in any branch of service meant at a wartime, I don't know I would have ever gotten here. I really learned what those guys and their brothers and sisters saw and lived through, and it opened my eyes. Yes. So we're here now. We're here to serve. I
love it. And as a former Marine of 2 combat deployments, I really appreciate everything that you're doing for the vets.
Right on.
So you've been open, I think I remember, since 2012, right?
Yeah, October 2012 was the official date that we got our 501c3 letter.
Okay. And since then, in those 8 years, how many pairs have you put together?
Yeah, so the first year and a half is sort of a wash because it takes us a year plus to train a pair. So we look at it as building the program up, and sort of 6.5 years into the working piece, we've graduated 33 teams. And today we've got 24 dogs in for training, of which 8 of them are matched with veterans that are going through their handling process.
Right.
And we have roughly a dozen applicants in line that are on a wait list pending to start meeting and matching.
Wow.
But yeah, 33 teams. So, that's 66 lives between the dogs and the veterans themselves that we've taken care of.
And it sounds like you're getting enough momentum now where you just are getting as many dogs as you can through the program because there's a backlog. Is that?
Yeah, that's the key. I think, like anything, at the end of the day, it's a nonprofit, but it's a business. And it took time to build the foundation. It took time to build procedures, processes, protocols, and it took time to be able to take on a certain number of dogs.
Yeah.
Our first dog in the program was housed at our home, and then we subleased space from a friend in Pacific Beach, and then we were only able to house 4 dogs at the time.
Yeah.
Then we moved into another location in Poway where our max was 8, and since 2017 we were at 15 max. We're now maxing at 25. We're able to house 25 dogs. And it won't stop there. We've got big dreams and goals. But you can see, from 1 dog to 25 dogs at a time. So you can imagine, unfortunately, the number of people that need our services in Southern California, the largest veteran populations being Los Angeles and LA. Los Angeles and San Diego, largest veteran populations. And we service San Diego, Orange County, Riverside, Los Angeles.
Wow.
So the amount of veterans that need our support far outweighs the number we can keep up with, but we're working hard. Dogs is the same. We're losing 1,800 dogs a day to euthanasia in our nation, mostly due to space, medical, or behavioral. And we're doing our part in a special way, in a niche market, and in a special way for these animals. But I think for us, it's not just about our mission specific, it's about the message. Mental health for veterans, veteran suicide, and dog rescue. Yes, our services matter and they're needed, but the message that we're sharing is also creating awareness above and beyond that's bigger than our cause.
And how would a vet go about getting in touch with you? Do they have to go through their counselor first, or how does that work? Could they just call you up, or how does that work?
Yeah, so they're welcome to go to our website, shelter2soldier.org, and click the Apply Now and apply.
Okay.
Most veterans are referred by a mental health provider. So licensed clinical social worker, their therapist, their psychologist, maybe it's a neurologist. Typically, a large majority are referred through the Veterans Administration and their VA appointments. But some some find us online. We had one gentleman heard a radio interview, and now he's getting a dog, and he was able to check mark all the boxes and be vetted and be approved. And he said, I don't know where I'd be if I'd not heard you on the radio. So we encourage everyone to reach out. We'll answer the call. Best way is to go through the website and fill out the application. The application will steer you in a direction and help you based on your answers, navigate the best support that we can provide. And what's amazing is in 8 years, we've learned that we can't do everything. We know we can't. So we're now an incredible resource that if we can't help you, and if a service dog through us isn't the right fit, we've got pages upon pages of resources in our community to make sure you find someone to talk to that can support you.
Great. And again, I really appreciate your time today. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I think this is important. Because they're also a nonprofit, get on to shelterforsoldier.org if you want to donate funds. Maybe you always have events going on. Do you have any upcoming here this year? I know obviously this year is strange.
Yeah.
But do you have other events that are coming up towards the end of this year?
Yeah, we do. You know, one of the biggest things we're really pushing right now is sustainability. And events are amazing and they're necessary, but we've learned that, you know, when things like COVID-19 hit, events hurt. So we're looking at what we call monthly contributors. It's an automatic monthly donation of $5 or $10.
Okay.
When you go to the website shelter2soldier.org, you click on donate, you can checkbox reoccurring. And you know, for $5 or $10 a month, if we can get a few thousand people to do that, when events get canceled or have to move, it's not as big of a hit. As far as events, our golf tournament's been moved. It's October 2nd.
Okay.
There's still a few spots left. That's at Singing Hills at Sequan.
Okay.
Gorgeous course.
Nice.
You know, everyone's just going to be outside swinging the clubs, having a good time. There's going to be a lot of veterans out there hanging out and enjoying the day with us. Prior to that, we've got our gala. It's August 22nd.
Okay.
It's virtual this year. We're getting creative.
Yeah.
We're still going to have dogs for you guys to see. We're still going to have some great speeches and messages shared. But we need this virtual gala because our gala is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And if we don't have it, we don't continue to save lives. So those are coming up. We tentatively have a 5K in November. That's a big crowd, so we'll see if that one's possible. But the virtual, for sure, August 22nd, and the golf tournament, they're going to be awesome. Special events, and like I said, they're life-changing, life-saving events.
Hopefully we're going to be able to get Graham to sit down for a longer interview because he's got a fascinating story. This whole thing, I just love it. We're huge dog people, and as a vet and a dog lover, I really appreciate everything you're doing. I will just say this at the end here. If you are in the military, police, or first responders, and fire department, if that's you out there, thank you very much for your service. We really appreciate it. Stay safe. And if you think that Shelter to Soldier is something that you would be interested in, that would be helpful, feel free to go on that website. Again, it's sheltertosoldier.org, and they can send you wherever you need to go from there. So, Graham, thank you very much for your time, sir. This is the Rain Man. Take care. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
All right, so as you can see, Graham's just a really cool guy. His heart's in the right place. I'm really looking forward to the interview that I do with him and a couple of his clients down the road. So keep an eye out for that. I'm just going to leave you this one last thing, and then we'll close out this RainDrop. So Shelter to Soldier is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that adopts dogs from local shelters and trains them to become psychiatric service dogs for post 9/11 combat veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome, as well as traumatic brain injuries and other psychological injuries associated with traumatic service experiences. If you are somebody that's looking for a cool organization to donate some money to, I highly recommend you check them out. So, this is it for now. Thanks for watching. This is the Rain Man.